Buildings are the nerve centers of an economy. And as India grows, so do its cities and buildings, bursting with enterprises and aspirations. But how ready is our construction, engineering and building industry to grapple with the growing demands of a fast-growing economy? How equipped are we to ensure that the buildings, the new ones and the old, are developed and redeveloped to meet today's and tomorrow's sustainability agenda? It is to find answers to some of these most challenging tasks of building sustainable buildings that we have lined up a series of thought-stimulating sessions under the Sustainable Buildings Summit Forum. In this very first episode of the series, we have with us stalwarts and icons of the industry, putting the spotlight on the emerging opportunities and strategies to embrace the sustainability agenda in the most planned, efficient and innovative manner.
On behalf of Bloomberg, UTB and all the sponsors, I would like to invite all these panelists. The stage has been set for them with our initial 3 presentations. And I would try to do justice to my job by asking them pretty much probing questions. And let's see what they have to say about it. I think I would like to begin this session with giving due respect to Mr. Parmar here, sitting left to me. And I can see that he's having the richest experience among all of us. So Mr. Parmar, if I can ask you to begin with specifically on the aspect related to is green necessary, because you might have seen the earlier days when the green was not a buzzword and today when it is kind of become a fashion.
I've gone through the phases of when there was architecture we had, and I mean, there was no emphasis on green because there wasn't that much of emergency of green. But you know that what was there was the green was a way of life. That's what has been slowly disappearing, and so everyone starts thinking about where is the green. I mean, green, when you look at it, you actually look at a green. I mean, now, green building, I mean, it takes care of what creates more heat, what creates, destroys the environment, and whatever materials manufacture, how much of nature you have destroyed in that, all that is happening. I'm looking at it as an architect. I do not know nor interested in knowing the figures, how many billions of energy units are spent, how much is needed, what global emergencies we are getting into. Of course, we are feeling the nature, we are feeling the heat, we are feeling everything is changing here. But to me, it's very important that the green is a way of life. To me, we must not switch on any lights while the sun is on, and which is nearly about 10 to 12 hours. We have ample of sun here, but we have to keep the heat away. We have to design our architecture in the spaces that your openings are deep-seated. You have the shadows coming on it, where we use the directions, where we need the north is exposed, the light is less, the reflected light comes, the direct sun doesn't come, and design the spaces where natural light gets in everywhere, natural ventilation gets in everywhere. Once you have done this too, you have already cut down nearly 50% of your need.
In India, what is happening? We have, at state level, we have building bylaws, and then we have PWD's specifications, schedule of rates, contracts and other things, plinth area rates. And at central level, all these bylaws, specifications, schedule of rates need to be revised first. Because somehow we have to ensure that all the new buildings which are going to come, they are going to green, and cost is also taken care of. So now CPWD is revising. It's not that they were not actually revising earlier, but the incorporation of green features were not there. Now, if already like ECBC, it is written over there in the specifications, all the new buildings which are going to come, daylight control is mandated. Right. What you're going to do then? Definitely you have to design the way you're building in such a way that daylight should be available, as Mr. Parmar was saying, and then we have a control mechanism which is going to use. So that is revised, first thing. Now how we are going to implement by the authorities, like municipal corporation, and I think we are in Maharashtra, Central Public Works Department, through, Pimpri-Chindwal Municipal Corporation already made GRIHA partly mandatory. GRIHA is also made mandatory by CPWD for all their buildings and PSU buildings.
Let me try to get this answer from someone from builders community we have here.
Two different aspects to it. If you're looking as a builder point of view, I would agree with you, since if you go for an environment clearance, we probably take a year or something in getting those kind of clearances. And as you are saying that we should go for a green building, now we wouldn't mind going for a green building, but then we also have to take care of the cost. If the cost escalation is around 8 to 10%, we're probably going to take it into consideration, since the cost escalation is already very high. And as far as the approval scenario goes, I think it is a lapse on the government side to make us wait for almost a year. Even if we go for this green certified building, we'll probably take a lot of time, but I don't think it's justified in any way. And if you look at spreading the awareness and making green buildings, I think it's going to be very difficult in a city like Mumbai, where you don't really have a lot of big plots. You have cluster development. Even the mentality of people of you bringing in sunlight, but nobody likes to open the curtains. Let's be very practical that, nobody likes those kind of things. So in a city like Mumbai, it is difficult, but I think green should be accepted, but I think the procedure should be much faster. The government has to get much better policies. They need to do it in a certain way where the awareness to not just corporate builders, probably if they want to make it mandatory, make it for the corporates also, make it for the big builders also. But spreading that awareness just for all the builders, I think they need to do a lot more.
Only for a few instances, like for public buildings, he thought about the funds. So he actually asked us to develop a set of mandatory and voluntary options. And our target is objective in Maharashtra or else India. In the pyramid, if you draw, only 5% of the developers are voluntary takers. Developers, any individuals, only 5% of the entire stream are voluntary actions. And rest, maybe 20% will follow the guidelines if it is there. And rest, the pyramid and the bottom of the pyramid are 70% are very, tough to reach. So we actually are taught to bring that 70% to bracket to the middle. That means bring them to the top.
My colleague from Philips, Mr. Goswami. I have again kind of two questions, one related, one non-related. We are talking about green building, and I can say the underlying reference is always with the new construction. But at the same time, we have heard Mr. Mantri saying an earlier presentation, and I do believe there's a huge scope of redevelopment and making the retrofit or existing building green. We have that example of Infosys, but then is that a one-off example? Or do you think such an initiative can be practiced? Maybe someone like me who has an old home, but I always think that if I want to go and change to green lighting, for example, from Philips, it is going to cost me maybe 3 times that at 10 rupees bulb or something like that. So what's your view on that?
Thanks for asking the question on retrofitting. As a manufacturer, we bring technology. I guess that's our role in this scheme of things. If you look at the way things are placed, 1% of the opportunity for sustainable lighting is new buildings. 99% is existing buildings. And with new buildings, you anyway are going to look at new technology. But what about the existing stock of buildings which are already there? Some of them are maybe 50 years old. They're probably using technology which was invented in the 30s. So very important to note that we have to think about our existing inventory of existing buildings. So retrofitting is obviously the key. If you look at lighting manufacturers, if you look at their portfolio, you'll see that most of the portfolio is designed for new points. So even the manufacturers have to do a lot to do something about it. We work with large office owners on existing buildings also. And one of the insights which we got was from a large IT company in Bangalore. that look, we want to do this, but we cannot shut down an existing office and stop work because we want to do upgrading. So how can you help us? So what the insight which we got was that you cannot disturb the false ceiling, you cannot stop work, you have to work on the weekends. So the solution which we developed is you take away the existing fixture, replace it with a new fixture, and how fast and how cleanly we can do it. So we actually timed it, their workmen and with our workmen. You can remove the existing fixture, put back the new fixture in less than 3 minutes. Just as an example of what we are doing. But I would like to also address the point about new buildings in a slightly different way, already addressed here. If you see that less than 1% of the buildings, which are new buildings, have lighting controls. And even if you're using the most efficient technology and the latest technology available, if you use a layer of intelligent lighting controls on top of that, you can easily save 30 to 40%. So if you see existing buildings, the entire product development strategy needs to change, and that's what we are trying to address. And if you see new buildings, even if you're using the latest technology, if you use lighting controls, you can actually save substantial amount of energy.
I think with this, I would like to close the session here. I would like to thank all the panelists here for quite encouraging discussion, and at the same time all the audience for their patience and remarks. Thank you very much.